Microsoft has announced the price of their games is going up, as predicted. We saw the Nintendo and then Sony versions of this story in previous weeks. In fact, one to another week. It's been 3 weeks in a row of each company stepping up to be like, yeah, you're going to pay more.
So, like, how much did we talk about that? I don't remember. I can't keep track of what conversations are on the podcast.
The first version,
what conversations are on stream.
So first we talked about Nintendo and their price announcement for the Switch 2, which then was like, is this tariffs? Is it not? And then it got muddled. And then it was like, okay, sort of, but we're waiting to see what that's going to be afterwards. So it sort of is, but yes and
They're
no.
all kind of just chasing Nintendo now.
And then Sony came out and said, yep, it's getting cranked up. And now Xbox is saying $60 to $70 games will now be $80. These are USD, of course. I mean, for Canadian prices, we're already over the moon.
We're getting fucked on it.
And the consoles going up by depends on which, but like, yeah, the various different versions.
PS5 costs more than it did when it came out. It not only has it not received a price drop, it is now more expensive than it was when it came out.
Yeah, the consoles, the Xbox Series consoles are all about $80 to $100 more across the board. Controllers are going up as well, and games by 15 to 20. So
here's the thing, right? I spoke to, when this was happening with the Switch stuff, and then it happened with the Sony stuff, I spoke to a bunch of people about this that were in positions to know things. And what I got back was that everybody's spending too much money building games, and they're freaking out because the numbers don't work, so they need to kick it up a notch to make it work. And I said, what about spending less money? And I was told that's stupid. They're never going to do that.
Shut up, go home.
And I was like, this was a great 2 separate conversations that went exactly the same way.
Out the window you go, business meeting man.
And at the end of the day, like I on my stream, I went through like minimum wages in different countries in terms of purchasing power for a new game or a new console. Or I went, you could argue about like turning it into a luxury product, blah, 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 all this shit. And it's like Sony put out a statement to their investors like 2 years ago that when they charged extra for God of War, and I think there was something else, that sales went down by a bunch because people aren't willing to pay the extra $10. And that's like the only thing that matters. Sales are going to go down more than the money you will make off of the extra money. And it doesn't matter if it's fair, and it doesn't matter if the game is full of value, and it doesn't matter this or doesn't matter that. All that matters is people go, fuck you, I'm not paying that.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a slight update to the takes we've been having for the last 10 years in regards to all of this, because it's been pretty much the same every time. The only little thing to add to it is just these things you should be doing. It would be pretty good and healthy for the industry if you started doing them. If you don't, they're going to happen anyway. It's just going to hurt more. The unsustainable will, guess what? Explode. Things will not sell. Productions will fall apart. People will get fired. These will end in fires everywhere, and the industry will continue to burn, and people's jobs will continue to go away. You can correct course somewhat in advance if you steer away from the quadruple A production, or you can just hit the wall on it and suffer the hard way, But
and
it doesn't matter, because in the end, whether you do or don't, it's going to change because it has to.
So, like, the wall in this respect is Grand Theft Auto 6. Because Grand Theft Auto 6 will sell 800 million shitzillion copies, and it will cost more than other games. And once people own Grand Theft Auto 6 and they paid $110 for the collectors or whatever the fuck, you're going to come along with Assassin's Creed whatever or Gears of War who cares, and go, this is worth the same amount you paid for Grand Theft Auto. And people are going to go, no, it's not. and that's it. That's like the whole thing.
So it is it's interesting to imagine the you know how like there was the crash of the first video game crash, right?
Yeah,
And
the Atari
the
shit.
Atari shit, and then you have the Nintendo from the ashes resurrection, and then we talk about like what another crash might look like. It's interesting to imagine one where everything unsustainable, insanely expensive, and just that we've been screaming about for such a long time implodes. You have companies like Ubi and companies like EA and massive publishers and everyone that is in that echelon. Um, you have those a world where those things explode and the IPs end up in every possible direction, and then people that are just at their computers making indie games just kind of look around and go, "Huh, damn, that sucks." Anyway,
And dude, I remember
Post,
20 years
you know,
of the phrase, who even owns System Shock? Do you remember that? Just like, oh, whatever happened to that game series? I don't know. No one can find who owns it.
I find it, I just find it so fascinating that, you know, we could easily head for a crash that detonates the entire top floor, and then people in small teams working on passion projects, publishing themselves straight to Steam, will continue to be able to do so in the ashes.
I have a brave thing to say.
Be brave. Be
Can
brave.
I say something brave?
Say something brave.
I think we've been in a video game crash for multiple years. Like, the difference is that it's been slow. It hasn't been a catastrophic, everybody goes bankrupt all at once. But for like 5 years, we have seen bankrupt, absorbed, but like absorbed into a bad situation. We have talked about layoffs almost every week for like 18 months.
Yo, bars. Like 100,000%. Yeah, and it's interesting because like it's almost like there's a lot of things in life that you go through that you expect are going to be these massive, insane, explosive, historic events, and it turns out no, you can live through them quietly in a weird way where nothing really explodes. It just kind of persists.
There's no like,
you know, and you're like, oh, we're in it. We're in it. Are we in it? We're still waking up, and it's all no, 100%. You're waiting
there's
for
no one day cataclysm for video games.
You're waiting for the cataclysm because that's what the history books kind of taught you about, you know, and there is none. You're just in it day to day. It's crazy. You're 100% right, and I think a lot of things in life are going to be like that now. It's a weird feeling.
There's going to be a crash. I think it's fairly inevitable, like a proper crash. And the date on it, like, oh, this was the start of the crash, like Rome or some shit, is going to be like when Ubisoft gets bought in by Tencent, or it goes bankrupt, or when EA has to fucking cut and run, or, you know, that like some mega company, right, has to be like, oh, can't make any fucking money. And then the stock people all go fucking nuts because all video games don't make any money, and they sell, and then a bunch of capital gets lost. It's a whole fucking thing. But like, that's just like part 25.
But then,
of the thing we're watching happening in slow motion right now.
But future historian goes, but that makes no sense, teacher. You're saying there was a crash while Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft continued to make hardware and release them to shelves.
I have a new brave thing to say. I think that if Sony and Microsoft are raising the prices of their fucking boxes by $100, I'm going to look up something right now. I'm going to go to Amazon.ca and I'm going to click in Sony PlayStation 5. And the Sony PlayStation 5 fucking disc edition costs $744. With tax. That is $744 times 1.14. That is $850 for a PlayStation 5 that is 6 years old. Okay. I do not think there is going to be a PlayStation 6 or an Xbox Next
Unless
for a fucking while.
Unless something insanely drastic changes, perhaps.
I do not. There's not. Oh, you want $1,000 PlayStation? I don't think anybody wants a fucking $1,000 PlayStation ever in the history of anything. Christ, I didn't buy a PS5 Pro because it was too expensive. You and me are in the fucking freak 1% of video game obsessives. And we were like, oh, that's way too much. That's ridiculous.
And how much did consoles cost back in the... Well, okay. And the cost of consoles and the cost of games and all this stuff relative to the wages that people were being paid at the time.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, one of those numbers increases and the other one stays in the exact same place. So the pain, you dial that pain up.
If I was the Xbox and the Sony, I would be like, well, we should just keep making games for this fucking thing for a while.
So I just got asked that question the other day on stream, where someone was like, "Hey, what do you want to see in the new generation of consoles, or would you like to see things go back to the 4-year turnaround or whatever that it used to be?" And I'm like, "Are you out? Like, fuck no. Let it sit. Let it cook. We're here. People can develop what they want to currently on these existing things. There's no reason to put another box out to crank the price up on something that's going to marginally get slightly better. I don't need a niche 8K feature, you know, to be possible with some games. I don't need
the best game of this year so far might as well be a 360 game.
You know, it just, I could not
be... And it cost $50. It didn't cost the same as other games either.
I could not be any further against the idea of starting a new generation for no fucking reason, you know? And it's, and each one, and then on top of that too, like the jump from SNES to N64 to GameCube, etc., from, you know, 16 to 32-bit to fucking that jump doesn't happen anymore, right?
No, man, it's gone.
You don't even get to argue on behalf of the insane tech jump, because it's become such a subtle background thing. You know, games and certainly on PC, you have these in-between steps where like shit looks prettier, shit does look better, you know, but like, is it worth it? Is it worth the fucking pain and cost and restarting of the development cycle, where also everyone has to learn the ropes again from scratch, and fucking it gets expensive again because no one knows how to develop for this new thing, you know?
Dude, someone in chat just pointed out, so I was talking about Expedition 33, but I accidentally also described Oblivion, the best-selling game of this year. Is a fucking cleaned up 360 game. Like,
yeah. No, there is something to be said about the weird soft crash, the passive crash, the thing that is like, we're still here. The market is making them. They're going out on shelves. Games are being made, things are being sold, but like it's becoming more and more impossible for people to continue participating in the industry as creators and as consumers on both sides. And production habits don't seem to be preserving the future in any way, shape, or form. So you can just watch it slowly atrophy, I guess, in a weird, quiet, long-tailed way.
We're getting into a strange place where people are going to go, there's no money in video games anymore. And that won't be true. What's true, because everybody still has their consoles and PCs, and it'll just be like, if the economy is tough and blah, 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 then there's actually plenty of money for video games below a very specific listed price.
Threshold. Right. Or otherwise, you go and you know, the simple mechanics of that other discussion of like, okay, is your company worth investing in versus the S&P 500 period, right? Like just basics. No. Then what are we doing here? Right?
So when the Xbox price increase happened, I think what I posted on Blue Sky was like, Microsoft, you are fucking crazy. You are not Nintendo. Nintendo isn't even the Nintendo that Nintendo thinks they are, but they're still Nintendo, right? Like, I'm like Mario Kart and fucking Donkey Kong and shit. It might as well be a Disney property in terms of obsessive belovedness, right? Like, I'm going to play Mario Kart with my small child. That's the end of that discussion as far as purchasing goes, right? Microsoft and Sony don't make Nintendo games. So those discussions are like different by default.
It'll be interesting to see an industry where, you know, the type of person that, let's say, Call of Duty and GTA and every other mainline thing, let's say those things go away, right?
Yeah, they're gonna go away.
The type of person who is like, oh, I guess video games are over.
Yeah.
Right? That's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, this entire genre is over then.
I have discovered in my mind the day that the video game crash will be recorded. It will be the day that EA says we are not going to put out Madden or FIFA this year.
No more sports. Yeah. I mean,
we'll go and like, right? Literally 800 million people will go, well, I guess I'm never playing a video game ever again.
You know, and it's like, meanwhile, we're going to be over here talking about like, yo, you see what fucking Blueprints has got going on? That shit's crazy.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yo, Deltarune is what? Wow. Thing looks like fucking trash and it sounds amazing.
There's
and it plays
a new
amazing.
Indie game on Steam where you have a baby to cast spells and shoot cum. Wow.
Look at this MS Paint garbage that cost 4 cents. I can't wait to go back and play it. You know, and it's just like, yeah, that's just.
Oh, did you finally get around 100-line Last Survival Defense Academy? Yeah, dude. Bro, God. There's a character in that game that asks you might have to play 100-line Defense Academy.
Sure.
I've been informed that there is a character who asks that you make them a carryable bag that they can vomit in emergency.
Yes. I have heard about the lore of the emergency vacuum sealed vomit bag. Yes, I've heard about
and
this.
I'm like, this is very, very on brand for us. That is weirdly pointed.
Yep. No, I mean, you will look around and you will see thumbnails about how, like, literally it is all over. It's done. There is no FIFA. There is no Madden. There is no Warzone. Or it's cooked. And then I'll go like, yo, I didn't even know this game on UFO 50 cooked so hard. This shit's just crazy. I never booted it up. Look at that.
Well, a lot of those people will just stop playing games entirely.
Yeah, but that's the weirdness. That's the weirdness of the industry we're looking at right now. You know, once upon a time, those people would have been right, and now it's just like I don't know what any of this means. You know, but so like, if AAA dies, that is a gigantic, humongous, massive face of the industry. But,
absolutely.
But games are here.
So like, yeah, the crash is going to happen. The crash is going to happen, and people are going to go, there's no money in video games, and mass audiences will desert because of the no football or whatever. But like, the people listening to this podcast are not those people. The people that spend like 99% of the money on Steam are not those people, right? Games will continue to be made and sell, and some will sell very well.
And if games like Expedition 33, Clair Obscur can be made in those conditions, then why should I give a fuck?
Yeah, and also Fate will live on forever. And Grand Blue Fantasy. And I mean, the 11 more Hoyoverse games.
Well, if you can fucking cash in on your phone, then so be it.
And Wing Waves.
Yeah, and if I have to keep hearing about Virgil's daughters in all these mobile games,
it's really funny. It's really funny that they're all girls. It's really funny.
Then I guess that's what my future has in store. You know, then I suppose so be it. Judgment cuts from all these anime girls. And all the fan art that comes from it, where it's like, oh, there's Virgil hanging out with, I don't know their names, whatever, this one or that one or the other. And, you know, if yeah, it's all right, cool. Punishing Grey Raven, show me what you got.